Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess and today we're going to be learning all things Sentro knitting machines. This is just going to be a beginner introduction to the Sentro machine itself, and I'm also going to teach you how to do a long tail cast on so that you can start your projects. All we're going to need is our Sentro machine. I just have here the 40 pin machine, but any one will work. And then I also just have some medium weight yarn. This is, I think it's Vanna's Choice. I don't have the wrapper anymore, but some medium weight yarn and we will get into it. All right, so let's first just get acquainted with our machine. So sorry if it's not fully in view. It's kind of a hard thing to film, but basically this machine is really easy to use, super friendly. Beginner friendly. So basically what the machine consists of is our turning lever on the side here, and this is going to, if you look at your little hooks here, this is what moves your hooks along, and that's what creates the actual knitting part. Most of my hooks on here are white, all of them are white except for this one right here, which is black. Now this black pin is your start and your finish of your project. So you're always going to start and finish with your black pin. So I like to mark, I don't know if you can see this, but right here I've marked the little plastic piece just before my black pin. And that's just so when I'm spinning away here, I'm going to be able to see my black pin coming around so that I know where I'm at with my project. Sorry, that was a little bit blurry there, but you can see white. And you can see here that my black pin is coming around. Obviously, I'm not looking above like this view when I'm creating, so I don't see these white pins. What I'm seeing is this. So I can't see the black pin until it comes. So that's just a little trick that I learned, is just to color that piece of plastic there so that I know exactly where my rounds are starting and ending so that I can count. The next part is the front here. We just have this little dial here. It has a T in a circle and a P in a square. The T means tube. So that means that it's going to create a tube. So this is what you would use for hats or headbands, pumpkins, things like that. Gloves, anything that you're making in a tube. The other letter here, P, that's for panel. So for panel, you're going to be using that for mostly clothing, things that you're going to be creating in panels, kind of like the front of a sweater or whatever it is you're making. The other things on the front here we have is just our tension right here. This is where we will put our yarn. There's 3 different levels of tension depending on the size of yarn. This is our tightest tension closest to the bottom, and then our largest tension closest to me. And then here is just our yarn feeder. So this is where our yarn sits so that it stays in the right spot for the hooks to correctly grab it. So that is the basis of our machine. They also have little suction cups on the bottom. I personally do not find that these suction cups do anything. My machine still slides around everywhere. I have seen some people secure their machines down in different ways, creating little like stoppers on their tables so that, because if you're doing this, once you actually get going, your thing is moving all over the place. So it is kind of nice to have some way to secure it. So that is our machine. Now I'm just going to put that aside and I just want to talk about yarn for a second. So this machine is very picky, at least the Sentro is. I know there's different types of knitting machines, but this machine is very picky with the type of yarn you use. It's also going to create different end results. So I'll explain. So I have here 3 different brands of yarn, all size 4. So we have the Craft Smart Value yarn. We have Caron Simply Soft, and this is that Vanna's Choice. Now, they're all size 4 yarns, but they are all very different. If you see here, the difference in the size of the yarn here, even though they're both size 4s. Now, this yarn, I struggle a lot with using in the Sentro. It creates a very, very tight knit, and this yarn I find drops stitches like crazy. So it can be very frustrating to work with because if you drop a stitch in the machine, it's really hard to fix it without having to take it out. So I have tried using this yarn. I have been successful the odd time, but it's never consistent. So I kind of steer clear with using this yarn. The Caron Simply Soft is great for this machine. I think it works really, really well. It's really soft and it's small enough that it doesn't drop a lot of stitches. The only thing I don't like about this one is that because it's so soft and a lot of a smaller size 4 yarn, I find that you're gonna have a looser knit. So when I create hats and stuff with this stuff, it's a lot stretchier, not as tight of a knit, which I don't always love. I'll give you guys an example. So this is knitted with something more like this yarn, the Vanna's Choice. And you can see like the knit is just a lot tighter. And this hat is made with Caron Simply Soft. So it's still beautiful, but it's just, I don't know if you can really see on camera, but it's just, the knit is a lot looser. So it's really personal preference what you like. It really depends on the project that you're making. So I do like using Caron Simply Soft, and it is a great yarn for this, but I would say that this yarn is my favorite, and a lot of the time this is just going to be trial and error for you, finding the right yarns. So this yarn is that Vanna's Choice. I find it's the perfect size for these machines, and it creates the most beautiful knit. So do some experimenting with different types of yarn and find what works best for you, but that's kind of my 2 cents on the different types of yarn. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to do a basic long tail cast on. This is what I use before I create hats or headbands, or really anything actually. I use only this one. It is the easiest I find. So to start, we are going to make sure that our black pin is in front of us, in front of our feeder here, because we're always going to start and end with our black pin. I'm going to grab my yarn that I'm using, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap my yarn around and underneath that black pin there. This tail here is going to sit on the inside of our machine. Now we are in front of the black pin. What we're going to do next is we're going to turn our lever here, and we're going to go behind this next pin right here. So we're in front of the black pin, then behind the white. Then moving along, we're going to go in front of the next white pin here. So in front, behind, in front. I'm sure you can see the pattern. We're going to go behind the next one, in front, behind, in front, behind, in front, all the way around. Behind, in front, behind, in front. So you're just alternating around each pin and making sure that you're taking your time with this, because if you don't do this step right, your knit's not going to work. Behind, in front. So I'm just coming up to the very last pin, the last white pin here. And if you did it right, you should be behind your white pin because we're in front of our black. So this is going to be behind, like this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to insert this into our feeder. So I just inserted it right into the feeder, and I'm going to insert it into my tension holder. I kind of like to do the first one, and then I like to wrap it into the second one as well. I find that that creates like the best tension for my projects. So into the first and then wrapping into the second as well. But you just put it wherever you feel is best. So that is our cast on. So now we are ready to start creating. So I would suggest going slow with this first round and just making sure that you're in the feeder all the way, because that's what's going to make sure that your needles are grabbing the yarn correctly. So I'm just going to go around slowly for this first round. And here I'm back at my black pin here. So that was one round. So once you've done the first round, then you can go a little bit quicker. Around for whatever it is, for however many rounds it is that you need to make whatever project it is that you're making. So that is how you do your long tail cast on. Let us know in the comments down below if you have any questions or if you're looking to have any other tutorials for the Sentro machine. I have some fun ones coming up, so keep an eye out for those. I hope you guys have a lovely day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!